Hi again then guys, and welcome to another speed build for GT Sport. We haven't actually done one of these in quite some time, and what better car to do it with than with the recently debuted Police Interceptor, which is basically what it is, a safety car as they like to call it, which is of course based on the Charger Hellcat. Now this tune is not quite as quick as the normal version, interestingly, and it's probably the aerodynamics. I'm assuming that that's the reason, because nothing else is really different about the car compared to the normal one, especially once you tune it. As far as the upgrades go, you want to drop the weight as low as it can go, increase the power, of course, as high as it can go. Traction control, I would recommend having turned off. Now, chances are you're going to be in like a cop's lobby or a racing lobby of some kind, so you might as well have the best tyres you can get, which is super softs. As far as suspension, we've got the rear on 90mm, 110 on the front, so a little bit higher on the front end. As far as the frequency, we've got 2.6, so not quite as high as it can go, but fairly high. 5 and 5 for the anti-roll, with the lowest compression and rebound on the dampers. 2 degrees of camber for stability through the special stage Route X corners, and just in general, of course, as well. We've got neutral toe. Downforce is as low as possible because there is no option. As far as the diff, we've got the lowest initial torque, the highest acceleration, and the highest braking. That might not work through corners, you know, on like the Nürburgring or something, so test that as necessary, but of course this is a speed tune, so it doesn't really matter too much. And finally, of course, for the most important part, which is the gearbox, you want the fully customized transmission. I would recommend, I believe, the highest auto setting of 280. Then as far as the individual gears, 3.1 for first, 2075, 1550, 1240, 1025, 860 for 6th gear, and that's the gear that you have for top speed most of the time, and then for slipstreaming or drafting, 0.740 in 7th gear, with a final drive of 2.2. So it's a pretty long setup gearbox, even though the top speed on this is not as high as some of the supercars, but of course what you want to see is what can this actually do on Route X. Well, as I said, this car is incidentally not quite as quick as the normal Hellcat, so if you want to check out my tune for that car, it is also here on the channel, but the difference between the two isn't all that big anyway. Even the gearbox settings are fairly similar. I did change it a little bit on this car to optimize it more, but you can do about 250 miles an hour in 6th gear. Sometimes it'll be more like 249, but especially after the hill, you can quite easily cruise at 250, which, again, for like a cop car is more than good enough. And as far as slipstream potential, well, as I said, you're doing top speed in 6th gear, so you've got all of 7th gear to slipstream with. So that's quite a lot of potential. I have raced in this. I raced it yesterday when the car was released, and it's very competitive. With slipstream, of course, you can easily keep up with all of the top supercars, as long as, of course, you don't let them get too far ahead before getting the draft. But yeah, it's a pretty great car. The handling is very stable. Of course, the car's got a lot of weight and a lot of chunk to it, which means it's actually not that easy to bash this car around. And also the suspension settings that I've got with the stiffer springs and softer dampers actually makes the car very stable. So even if somebody, you know, whacks into the side of you, chances are, most of the time, you'll still stay straight and true, which is pretty cool, because it means that the car actually kind of feels the part as well as just looking the part. So overall, if you do decide to use this speed tune, I hope, of course, you have a ton of fun with it, enjoy it in lobbies, and potentially even win some events with it also. But of course, if you want to check out my other tunes for circuit racing, drifting, speed, drag, all that kind of stuff, then click the playlist here on screen, and until next time, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.